There are a lot of perks to having a freelance career. You get to make your own schedule, you don't have a mean boss, maybe you get to sleep in or take a nap in the afternoon. There are a lot of things that would make 9-to-5ers jealous. However, there are a lot of challenges that come with a freelance career, and one of them is balancing hard work with your personal time. One thing that's nice about having a regular job is that you have a consistent schedule. If you're always working the same hours, you can always devote the same hours to your personal time, your well-being, your hobbies, your downtime, etc. In a freelance career, you're typically working different hours every day, maybe working 6 or 7 days a week, and your schedule's constantly changing. If your work schedule is always changing, you have to work twice as hard to figure out where you're going to fit in your non-work activities. Most freelancers experience busy times where they have tons of gigs, a lot of work coming in, and they kind of can barely fit it all in their schedules. I see a lot of musicians really burnt out and exhausted during these times, and it kind of makes me ask myself, is it worth it? At what cost is your work helping you or just kind of weighing you down? Unfortunately for musicians and a lot of artists, we don't really have dream jobs where we get the job and then we're kind of set. We have salary, benefits, all that stuff. That just doesn't really exist in artistic careers. A lot of the big dream aspirations that artists have, maybe releasing a solo album, doing a big international concert tour, those are really artistically rewarding experiences, but they're often not financially that rewarding. And if we even get the opportunity to do something like that, we often come back in a money deficit. So because of that, I find that musicians and artists are constantly working. It never really feels like there's an end goal in sight. There's always more to be built in the career, more gigs to be had, and there's never really a point where it feels like you can truly settle down. Because of that, I think it's completely essential to figure out what your limit is with how much work you're taking on and when you're going too far with your workload. I'm all for having goals and aspirations and putting in considerable work to achieve those goals. But if you're burning yourself out, you're feeling exhausted and uninspired, it's really not worth it to keep pushing yourself. I've noticed for myself and among my colleagues a really big difference between working hard and overworking yourself. I wanted to highlight some differences that I've noticed between people who are working hard and people who are burning themselves out. One thing that hard work and overworking have in common is they both mean that you'll be working long hours and you'll probably have very little time for personal time. A sign that you're working hard is that you may be working long hours and having not so much time for yourself, but when you need to squeeze in a little bit of personal time or a way to decompress, you're able to still do that. A sign that you're overworking is that you're unable to even find the time to relax, and if you're given the time to relax, you can't even quite figure out how. If you're working hard, you're probably really tired by the end of the day, but you should feel satisfied with what you accomplished and what you have on the horizon. If you're overworking yourself, you're probably also exhausted at the end of the day, but you feel drained, uninspired, and lacking excitement for what's coming up. Working hard means you should have excitement and positive feelings about all the projects you're investing in. If you're overworking, you're probably feeling negative about your projects, wishing you didn't have them, resenting the time you have to spend on them. Hard work means that you should be able to see the results of your work, or at least potentially imagine those results as they come up. If you're overworking yourself, you're probably not feeling the results of your work or feeling like your work isn't worth it. Even if you're tired and you're working really hard and you're busy, you should at least be able to imagine when your time is going to free up and be able to look forward to those positive experiences you'll have when your schedule opens up a little bit. Oftentimes people who are overworking are unable to even see an end for all the work they have going on. And lastly, if you're working hard, you should be inspired by your other successful colleagues. They should make you want to keep working, they should make you inspired to invest more in your projects. If you're overworking yourself, it's probably likely that when you see your successful colleagues, who maybe don't look as tired as you do, you'll feel resentful, you'll feel jealous, you'll feel more down on yourself, and that's a sign that you're working yourself too hard and you've lost a little bit of your inspiration in what you're doing. As a freelance musician or artist of any kind, it's impossible to avoid burning yourself out completely. There are going to be times when we take on too much work and we learn the hard way. The most important thing is that we just notice and acknowledge that this is going on, so we can either start saying no to new projects, try to find ways to fit in some more relaxing time, whatever it takes to bring yourself back to equilibrium. It sounds silly, but we're in an artistic field because we're passionate and because we're creative and we're inspired by what we do. Working yourself into the ground will just destroy your inspiration and make your art less meaningful. Though I wouldn't advise it, I think there are certain fields where you can work yourself into the ground and then, you make your first million and you can start to relax. Being a musician is not like that. There's no pot of gold waiting for us, and we're always going to be working so long as we're in commission as musicians, so it's really important to just take care of ourselves and make sure that we're staying inspired about the art we're making. Our colleagues will notice, our audience will notice, and we need to be doing this because we love it and because it makes us happy. I hope this encourages all the overachievers to take a step back and make sure that everything that they're doing still feels meaningful. Don't be afraid to take a little time for yourself when it's needed, because your art will really flourish as a result. Thanks for watching, and be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. If you like these videos, subscribe to my channel and consider becoming my Patreon to help support the production of these videos.